I've been meaning to get this video out for a while. So Iran has recently, or maybe about 2 weeks ago to a month ago, struck Camp Buehring in Kuwait. Now, for a little bit of background, I was stationed here in Camp Buehring for about a year between 2019 and 2020. So it's been a minute since I was there. Um, and of course, a lot of things there have probably changed since then, being that it's been about half a decade since I was last there. But I've been there for a long time, and I've had a lot of people ask me about the strikes in Camp Buehring and Kuwait Naval Base and Ali Al Salam Air Base. Now, I'm not super familiar with those places. I've only been there like once or twice at each location. So I can't really speak much for what's happening in those other locations. But I know Camp Buehring quite extensively, and I want to cover some of the damage and kind of explain it in more detail. I've seen some reporting on it that's gotten some things wrong. I want to go over what exactly Iran has hit, what they haven't hit, and just go over some of the targets, because there's some of the targets they hit don't quite make a whole lot of sense. But some do. Some, they have hit some really good targets, and some just kind of leave me a little confused. So let's cover them. The first one I want to cover is on the flight line. So I've been on the flight line many, many times here. This is reported as being a large shelter for helicopters or UAVs. It is a shelter for helicopters. So I've been here. I've ridden Blackhawks here. So this is a This is a maintenance tent. So this is a tent that was used. In fact, most of these are maintenance tents. I know some of these were converted into gyms. So there were some gyms. I don't really recall which tents. I know two of these had gyms inside them. I think this one here had a gym. Not super sure, but I mean, it's been a long time. But I know this one here that they hit, yes, this was a shelter for helicopters. So that one was reported correctly. Now let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at the pictures, because we actually do have pictures. This here is the picture of the destruction. So you can see not a whole ton of destruction on this tent on the flight line. See, maybe they destroyed a helicopter. It's hard to say. I think Camp Buehring had been depopulated, and they evacuated a whole lot of people, whole lot of equipment prior to the strikes, because there are some people had taken some video of the strikes and what was happening on the ground, and it seemed to be much emptier than I remember it being. I know when I was there were people walking around at all hours, and from the few pieces of video that have come out from the strikes, it's pretty empty. So I think they removed a whole lot of troops and equipment. So did this do much damage? Probably not. Probably destroyed a lot of tools, though. But there were plenty of tools in other tents, so don't think this did much damage. So let's take a look at one of the other places that got hit. And that's this location here. This is some barracks. I know when I had been stationed here, this was barracks for Air Force. So there were Air Force troops located here. Not quite sure what it's being used for now. It's been a long time, but when I was here, Air Force was located here. They also hit another location right over here, and this is also troop barracks. This is Army barracks. I think they probably took a whole lot of people out. So if people were inside this now, when there's incoming drones or missiles, people go into these little bunkers. Now they're not really, I hesitate to call them bunkers. They're not really bunkers at all. It's just like a whole bunch of T-walls. And if you don't know what a T-wall is, it's just like a big piece of concrete in the shape of an upside down T. And they just kind of stack them together and lay them on top of each other to make like these makeshift concrete shelters. And so that's what one of these things is. You can see one there, you can see one here, another one here, here. They're all over the place. But when there's incoming missiles or drones, people go into these little bunkers, T-wall bunkers. So I don't think that really did anything. Of course, it's going to destroy the troops' personal supplies. So yeah, they're going to be missing a whole lot of clothes. So I will find the pictures. Now here, well, this one doesn't have it. Well, let's hop back to here. Now they destroyed one of these areas here, and these places here, these had been used as battalion or division headquarters. So these areas are right here, and you can see they destroyed one. You can see it on the right side here. So they destroyed about 3 command and control kind of sections here. So each of these little tents. So you could see here's a tent, here's one. Each one is going to be for a company. So they probably destroyed like a brigade or a battalion's worth of HQ stuff. So that's all destroyed. You could see here they destroyed some of those Air Force barracks. So that's all gone. And that's going to be here. So much for those. Those got destroyed. Yep. They destroyed the Camp Buehring gym. So I'll pull that up here. The Camp Buehring gym was right here. So this is a whole lot of gym equipment, and that's all been destroyed. And I'll pull up I'll go back here. Whoops, missed this one. This here is more of the barracks, and those barracks were over on this side here. So they destroyed more army barracks. Here you can see this stuff over here were showers. And these are pits where the water went into. But you can see here were showers and laundry facilities. So those got destroyed. Pretty sure I've used these laundry facilities before. I might even have used these showers before, come to think of it. Because I spent some time in a few of these tents. I think it was this tent or this one here. So I might have run over here and done some laundry. But let's go back to the gym. And the gym was right here. You can see here's the track and all that. So pictures of the destroyed gym. So that was the gym was destroyed. So yeah, here and just go back here. It's hard because the orientation of the pictures, they're zoomed in so far. Kind of wish they were a little more zoomed out, because then you kind of get a better feel for things. But yeah, this here is the destroyed gym. Here, this here, so they it's reported that the other destroyed buildings were warehouses and hangars. That is not correct. That is not correct. And so let me hop back to the pictures. This one here, this whole area, this square here, this was like a secret location, so I was not authorized to enter here. I've never been inside here. But this was a secret location, so I think here, this was like probably one of the command and control centers. Probably intelligence was located in this area. Again, this was a highly secure area that I was not able to ever enter. But they did take out one of the buildings here. That's going to be a big deal, high value target. The gym, who really cares about the gym? But this building here, command and control building, big deal that they hit that. This other building here, I've never been around this area. I think, and this was probably, I think that was, it's hard to say what that was. Probably an administrative building. I think these were administrative. But I can't really say for certain what that one was. Again, they reported these as being warehouses and hangars. These were not warehouses. These were not hangars. Yeah, so that was incorrect, that reporting. Let's go to some of the other locations. So let's take a look here. Again, these are pretty juicy targets that they hit here. Now, okay, these were buildings belonging to like the SAA. And so the SAA is that's a warehouse for or warehouses for incoming and outgoing stuff. So this here was the main SAA building, and so all incoming parts and equipment. So we're talking like filters and seals and bearings and just all kinds of maintenance equipment and stuff like that all came into this building here. So these were warehouses, so they came into here. Some of these were used for outgoing equipment. So I know things like tires and stuff that could be recycled. There were like engines that could be broken down further or brought to some of these other buildings. And right, if they could be repaired, they would be. And if there was stuff that needed to be sent out, it would be recycled. They would take it out of the base. And so that's the stuff that went along here. So I can get the pictures. So here you go here. Again, with the orientation, it's zoomed in a lot, but you could tell some of the destroyed buildings were here. You see, well, let's hop back to here. They destroyed this one. They destroyed this one here. Yep, this one. Again, there were probably better buildings that they could have hit here. But yeah, it's going to do some damage to hit, incoming equipment, warehouse facilities, and the SAA buildings. So that's kind of a big deal. So here, they destroyed the dining facility, or as we called it, the DFAC. So this was reported as being the Chapel Annex facility. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of that in all my years of being in the Army. But that's incorrect. Whatever that means, that is incorrect. This was the DFAC, the dining facility. This is where we ate. Man, I used to eat breakfast and dinner and lunch here every single day. Man, spent a whole lot of time here. So I'll go through some pictures. Here's actually a picture of me holding my SAA visitor's pass. I brought one of these back home with me, kind of as a keepsake. So that's my old SAA visitor's badge. When I used to run and pick up supplies for the motor pool, because I was a supply guy. But let's take a look at pictures from inside the DFAC. So this is what the DFAC looked like. Here's the inside of it. Man. I spent so much time in this DFAC. So much time in here. Man, I used to eat in here so often. Man, I really miss those omelets and the waffles that I get in the morning for breakfast, and for dinner there'd be sometimes we do a Mongolian Monday. We had Mongolian stir fry on Monday, and I think they did wings on Thursday and tacos on Tuesday. But yeah, wow, crazy to think this was destroyed. Another picture from the DFAC. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame. Of course, if things are incoming, right, people are going to be noticed, and they're going to go into the bunker things, the T-barrier bunkers. But if this was full when they hit it, like every single seat would be taken. Like when I was stationed here, this dining facility was packed full of people, and you'd have a giant line coming out the facility. You'd have lines. People be lined up trying to get in. So if they hit it at full capacity, it would kill hundreds. There would be hundreds of casualties. Do I think there were? Probably not. I think people had been evacuated. I don't think there were many people in here to begin with. And if this did hit during lunch hours or dinner or breakfast hours, it probably just killed the workers. And so the workers, we call them TCNs, third country nationals. So the workers were usually from countries like India or the Philippines or like Indonesia. That's where most of the TCNs came from. Me and my friends called them burger boys, right? Because they would serve burgers and stuff like that here. So, yeah, they probably killed quite a few TCNs that worked in these buildings, in the DFAC. So, yeah, I don't think they killed many Americans here. Probably a lot of TCNs, because the TCNs would work here. They would work here all the time. So everyone's serving the food, cleaning the DFAC, preparing the food, bringing the food in. Those are all TCNs. So the TCNs handled this area completely. I think it was a company called Vectis or something like that, that the TCNs worked for. That was a contracting company, Vectis or something like that. Yeah, rest in peace to them. So that's a shame. Yeah, again, these pictures, man, that's gone. Yep. Crazy. Let's look at some of these other places that they hit. Again, some of the reporting on online was incorrect. So this building here, this was the TMC, the Troop Medical Clinic. I actually got new glasses here. So when I was stationed here in Camp Buehring, I needed to get new glasses, and that's I think that was the only time I ever came here. But this was the medical clinic, and if you had something, wrong with you, you would come here. Most times, you just went to your own unit's medics, and the medics, I think our medic, this building was, man, do I even remember? I think it was in one of these tents here. Maybe it was this one, or God, I don't really remember. But our medics were in one of here, and so if someone in our unit was sick or something, we would come to our medics in one of these tents. But this was the main TMC. This was reported as being a fire department, which is incorrect. This was the TMC, the medical clinic. But let's look at the pictures. So the medical clinic here. See, they didn't really do a whole bunch of damage to it. I don't think it really did. I think that was like the lobby. That was like when we entered the building, we kind of had to, it was like, you kind of went in, you grabbed a ticket, you sat down and you waited until the number was called, and then you got to see one of the doctors. But yeah, not a whole ton of damage. Not a whole ton. Right, you could see the DFAC was destroyed in its entirety. You could see the damage to the SAA, where they destroyed it, a little bit more. You could see the gym was destroyed completely. This command and control building was entirely destroyed. You can see barracks were damaged here. Probably a lot of personal equipment belonging to the soldiers was destroyed. If they had their laptops and all their gear completely destroyed. So that's really got to suck for them. Here you see these buildings were completely destroyed. Not a whole ton of damage to the TMC. Yeah, so interesting. You'd think this was a building that they would have wanted to hit a lot more. Let's take a look at some other buildings. So this one here, I worked here. This year, this is reported as being a maintenance area, which is correct. They were correct. This is a maintenance tent. So this is a motor pool. And so this is actually an overflow motor pool. So the main motor pool is here. And so all the vehicles that didn't fit in this motor pool was overflowed into this motor pool. At least that's how it was for our unit. Our unit's main motor pool was here, and it overflowed here. The vehicles, you would drive the vehicle into this big tent, and you worked on it. The front here, the front of this building, not building, this tent, this was the warehouse space. So I did, because I was supply, I did work in our warehouse area here, but that has been destroyed. So let's take a look at the pictures. Here you can see the entire tent has been destroyed. So goodbye warehouse. So all those supplies, and it's just, maintenance equipment. So it was all seals and belts and filters and stuff like that. That stuff is going to be destroyed. And so when you look at the pictures, you can actually see there's vehicles here. So this was in use. So they probably destroyed a few vehicles that were in this tent. They're getting worked on. So they hit that. This one here on the left side, this is a gazebo. I think this one was a gazebo here in the middle too. This was the tent. So maybe they destroyed a LMTV or an MTV or something like that. Looks here like they had like Humvees in here. So maybe they destroyed a Humvee or two. But yeah, crazy. I used to work in this tent, and it's destroyed now. So glad I'm not there anymore. So much for that. Here's another thing that they destroyed. So honestly, not super sure what got destroyed here. It's reported that this was, or that these were generators, which is probably correct. Yeah, they look like they were generators. Now, we actually had generators all over the place. And so, don't think that by destroying, this area here, that power is gone for the entirety of Buehring. That is not the case. So, all over the place, they had generators on, like these would be generators here. Other areas around here, like, had generators under these little gazebo things. So they would have generators here, kind of all over the place. There were just kind of, big giant generators sitting around. But it looked like these were a whole bunch of them. So I don't really recall what this was. Again, it's being reported that it was generators. Again, a lot of the reporting was incorrect. So maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. They do look a lot like generators. They sure look like generators, so probably were, but not 100% there. So let's take a look at more pictures. So here it is. So you can see that these are destroyed. Again, being reported that it was generators. It looks to be generators. Again, I can't really say. I don't really remember what this was. The generators would have been worked on by TCNs, those third country nationals. So we didn't really do anything directly with the generators. Let's see, more destroyed buildings. So this one here, it's being reported that this was Department of Public Works. Camp Buehring didn't have Department of Public Works, so not sure what they meant by that. But then it also says Self-Help Center, which I guess that fits the description. This building here would be where we got, I've been there a few times, where we got mops, we got soap, laundry detergent, they had toothbrushes. So yeah, that's, I guess you could call that Self-Help Center. That's where we got, a whole bunch of supplies in there. So that got hit. Let's bring up the pictures. So here you could see that it's pretty much destroyed. So it's basically just a big warehouse full of supplies for the troops. But again, we usually just went to the PX to buy them. We didn't really go here too often because you kind of had to wait in line for a long time. I mean, you could get like Tylenol and like acetaminophen and ibuprofen here, but yeah, I didn't go here a whole ton of times. But that's all the stuff that I have. There were some reports that some more barracks got destroyed that I didn't see pictures. I couldn't find pictures of the destruction, but they reported that these barracks here had been hit. Did they? Don't really know. They didn't show pictures of destruction, but yeah, probably got hit. These were army buildings, so right, these are army barracks. So probably, I mean, they hit some other barracks, so if they wanted to hit barracks here, I don't see why they wouldn't have targeted this area, but I didn't have any pictures of them. Maybe they're out there and I just didn't look hard enough, but if there are pictures of the buildings here being destroyed, the reporting is correct that that this was barracks. Yeah, just going to go over, yep, supply, help, self-help building. Yeah, most likely the generators. This was that 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 tent warehouse and vehicle maintenance place in the overflow motor pool I used to work in. So that got hit. The TMC got hit. Doesn't look like a whole ton of damage, but you'd have to see what the inside looked like. This wasn't a tent, so this had like a metal, I think it was like corrugated steel roofing. So maybe it punctured through that, probably started a fire on the inside. So the destruction inside might be a whole lot more extensive than how it looks, but I don't really see a lot of burn. You don't see like charred areas. You don't see much of that. It's not blackened much on the outside. But yeah, hard to say what the damage inside looks like. DFAC completely destroyed. What a shame. What a shame about the DFAC. SAA buildings are not really buildings, but tents. So those got hit pretty hard. At least these two did. Yeah, this is the gym. They destroyed the gym. Not really sure why they targeted the gym. Well, I guess they can't work out anymore, but that's not really a huge deal. But this building here in the bottom right, big juicy target they hit. This is, again, I was never allowed in here. This was like a secret. You needed clearance to get in here. Clearance that I didn't have. So this was a big deal. This, I don't know if you could see the cursor, but this here was a tower. So I think this was a communications tower, and you could kind of see the shadow of the communications tower here. Not sure why they didn't go for the tower, but yeah, this was a juicy target. This one here in the top right, again, not super sure, but I know this was an administrative building, and the reporting about these being warehouses is incorrect. Yeah, they hit some barracks here. So again, probably not a whole lot of people in there. They hit these ones and some administrative command and control areas. So those got destroyed. They hit one of these maintenance tents on the airstrip. So maybe they destroyed some helicopters. Hard to say. They probably evacuated this, but yeah, when I was here, they had Ospreys, helicopters. They used to have drones, the MQ-9 Reaper drones, and I'd hear them fly all the time. They kind of sounded like a lawnmower because my barracks were kind of at a distance, so they were kind of far away, and it always sounded like a lawnmower. But yeah, some juicier targets. It would have been this this thing here. So the this tower, communication tower, this water tower. So this here was a water tower. Right, if they hit this, they would have taken out a lot of water for the troops here. So that would have been a pretty big deal. They hit that. Right, a lot of these things here, these buildings here, were like SASMO and like more administrative buildings along the airstrip. Those probably would have been high value targets. Fuel point here, maybe. But yeah, there were a whole lot of stuff around here. that they might have wanted to hit. I know when I used to be here, when you drove along the far end here, so if you ever drove along here, this road here, or here, sometimes you could see over the berm. So you see they have a berm here and a berm here, but sometimes you could see over that, and they had Patriot batteries in this area here, and you could see them, the Patriots that were set up in this area, spaced out. Again, I saw a video of incoming ballistic missile. 3 Patriots were expended trying to shoot it down. They all missed. So Patriots might not be super useful in those situations. And you can see they hit a whole lot of areas. So whatever air defense they had here in Buehring, obviously lacking. But let's jump to some video. So here we could see some video. So here you're watching a lot of destruction of the DFAC. DFAC completely destroyed, and the gym destroyed. So those have been taken out. And in the background, you could see the tower for communications, and here you could see the water tower. So you see water tower in the background. Yeah, whole lot of destruction up close. Goodbye, gym. Man, completely wrecked. Wow. Yeah, just kind of speechless. Pretty insane. Insane. No more DFAC. Wow. Crazy. Crazy. So that video is taken along this road here. You can see they're driving, he's driving along here, looking towards the east, seeing the destroyed DFAC, and then this destroyed gym, and then, the tower here, and the water tower here, the communications tower here. Just kind of placement in that video. Just give you a sense of where he was. He was driving down this road, looking at the destroyed DFAC and the destroyed gym. Here is another video. And so here he's in the entrance of Camp Buehring. Here is a Shahed drone, right? Classic silhouette of a Shahed drone incoming. So you could see here, no one is walking around. Like, it is just completely empty. So I think everyone had been evacuated at this point. You don't even see anyone driving around. So I think everyone's gone. Very interesting, though, is he's out and about. So they had no advanced warning. This might have been after a lot of the radars in and around Arif Jan and Kuwait Naval Base and Ali Al Salam and those other places, after they had been destroyed, those radars. So it looked like there was no advanced warning, because if there were, guaranteed these people would be in those bunkers, the T-wall bunkers, as I call them. They would certainly have been rushed into those. And interesting that he's openly taking video here, because what a major OPSEC violation this is. I remember friend of mine was in Camp Taji, and he took video of incoming rockets that Kataib Hezbollah, the Iraqi version of Hezbollah, rockets that they had launched into Camp Taji, and he took video of that. He put it on Snapchat and got demoted, and he got an Article 15 for doing that. So pretty big punishment. He also, when we left, he was supposed to get an ARCOM. Everyone who went to Camp Tachi received ARCOMs. That was downgraded to an AAM. So he got the punishment for doing that was pretty severe for recording this. For recording things like this is really severe. So, boom! So this here looked like he's probably destroying, or the Shahed is probably destroying the gym or destroying DFAC, or it's hitting one of those places here. Again, here, this is what I'm talking about when I say T-wall. It's just like a big concrete T, an upside down T. That's pretty much what it is. And those bunkers that I was talking about back here, and there's plenty of these. So here, here's one here, here's one here. Just a whole bunch of T-walls kind of stacked together on top of each other, kind of to make a makeshift bunker. So that's what these things are.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Crazy. Shahed drone incoming. Boom, taking out DFAC or taking out, one of the things over there. It's hard to say because of his distance, but this is the entrance to Camp Buehring, where they had that Sherman tank.
Oh, that was right here. They're they're starting to dial into our building.
Yeah.
I told them.
Good job, doofus, recording that. Big OPSEC violation. This guy's certainly getting punished severely for recording this.
The connexes right out front. These connexes.
Yeah, well, he doesn't sound too intelligent. Yeah. So that's what that was. Very interesting to see all the destruction here. Yeah, I used to live here in this building for a while. These are some more barracks here. This was like a gazebo and kind of stage area, so people would play bingo here every week. This one here was I think the Green Bean Cafe. This was Great Steak. There was Baskin Robbins. Was in one of these was Baskin Robbins, and I think they had a pizza place in this area. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. This was the PX here. I think this was the post office, or maybe this was the post office. Don't super remember. But yeah, that's the destruction here in Camp Buehring. Just kind of going over that. Just seeing what happened. And what can we learn from this? Well, we could see that evidently the base has been pretty deserted. Not a whole lot of people here. Probably not a whole ton of casualties. And if there are, it's probably mostly going to be TCNs and contractors, especially in the DFAC that have been killed. We could see that Iran, they probably know a lot of what these buildings are. Obviously, they hit a very high value target here. Then they hit some not so high value targets like the gym. So it's hard to say, why they hit certain areas and why they hit others. Yeah, I don't really know. I think someone had probably tipped them off, and gave them some targets, but whoever did probably didn't know a whole lot about what these buildings were used for. So probably a TCN had tipped them off. And he probably just guessed that, hey, you should hit this one and hit this one. Not super hard to guess. There were higher value targets that they could have hit that they didn't. So not super sure why they didn't do that. Obviously, you'd think you'd want to take out the tower, the communication tower, where they had the antennas and the water tower. Those probably would have been big deals. Taking out Fuel Point would have been a big deal. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why they hit that what we would call the self-help building here. Again, they took out, right, where's that? This one here, this where I used to work. So that's a destruction. That's a destruction. So just wanted to go over that. This is probably going to be a super long video, but I just wanted to talk about it, give my 2 cents and explain what they hit. Might get another video out in the coming weeks to go over it, but go over more of the destruction and kind of like the geopolitical impacts of this. Again, we're still kind of in the infancy of this war, but you could kind of see that it's been a big disaster for the Trump administration. And here in America, when we talk about worst presidents of all time, names that are usually at the top of the list are names like President Hoover, who were presidents right before the Depression, and kind of they get a lot of dirt thrown on them for being responsible for a lot of economic downturns in history. Even if they're not, super responsible for them, that's kind of the impression people have. So people usually say like, oh, Hoover is the worst president of all time. But I think for like at least 100 or 200 years in the future, I think scholars and historians are going to look back at the Trump years. And I think Trump is pretty much universally going to be recognized as one of the worst presidents of all time. It's hard to say why he does the things that he does, why he launched this war. Of course, it's for Israel's sake, right? He's kind of in the back pocket of Israel. I think at this point, it's pretty much safe to say that Trump is an Israeli supremacist, or Jewish supremacist, really, given that he's married all his children into Jewish families, and he's kind of grafted himself into the Jewish race. I think he sees himself as being an honorary Jew. Of course, all his grandchildren will be Jews, given that they're, his children have been married, like his daughter, Ivanka, is married to a Jew. A lot of his sons are married to Jews. He's kind of, become a Jew himself, basically. So it's just hard to say. Hard to say what the hell is going on in his mind to make some of these really horrible decisions. Because a lot of them really aren't even super beneficial to Israel. Of course, Israel's greatest rival is Iran, and the Iranian government and the Ayatollah. But this war is obviously not going to result in regime change. It's not really going to solve the underlying issues that Israel is facing to begin with, right? And Israel, I'm sure what Israel would love to see is the complete destruction of Iran, or at least regime change in Iran, to put a U.S. strongman in place, like we've seen in Venezuela. Obviously, the Trump administration had clandestine talks with the oligarchy in Venezuela. And as soon as Maduro was removed from power, you saw Delcy took place as kind of that U.S. vassal. And the Venezuelan government now is pretty much just another satellite state of the U.S. at this point. So I don't know if they plan to do something similar in Iran. I know they wanted to get Kurds in Iran to revolt. They wanted Kurds in Iraq to provide support to Kurds in Iran for that revolt. They refused. Both Kurds in both countries refused. So the Iraqi Kurds refused, and the Iranian Kurds did not want to revolt. So that never happened. So yeah, this war is not going to solve any of the issues that Israel had. It makes the U.S. government appear very weak. Seeing the damage that Iran supposedly, Trump said, the Iranian military is decimated. That's what Trump said. He said the Iranian military is decimated. He said their capabilities are basically at zero. And evidently, we're a month into this war, and Iran is still just absolutely wreaking havoc across the Gulf. And evidently, there's still a whole ton of fight left within the Iranian military, within the IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So that obviously is not diminished the way Trump claims it is. Which calls into question a lot of his previous claims about the Iranian nuclear program being utterly destroyed, which is Trump's claim that Iranian nuclear capabilities were utterly destroyed. Obviously, not the case. Iran is still exerting control over the Gulf and over Hormuz. And right now it doesn't appear that the Trump administration has a cohesive plan put together to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or the Gulf. There's been talks of U.S. invasions of these islands within the Gulf. So there's Karg Island and these other islands within the Gulf that there's been talks of U.S. boots on the ground in. I think it would be a bloodbath. He might actually do it. I think the chances of seeing boots on these islands is fairly high. I think it's going to result in a lot of American casualties. I don't think the Trump administration cares. I think they're just kind of just trying to do damage control and just floundering and just trying to do whatever pops in their head to remedy this. And it's not working. You could see that other nations around the country, or around the globe, like the EU states, the states in East Asia, clearly do not want to get involved with Trump's war. You've seen Spain and the UK and France basically come out and say that America, you're on your own with this. We don't want any part in it. and Trump just kind of throwing a hissy fit and just seething about the EU and seething about NATO, just throwing a fit like a child. I don't know what he's doing. And then you see states like India, you see states like China, just with cargo ships full of natural gas and oil, just going through basically unimpeded. Iran is, for the most part, letting Pakistani, Indian, and Chinese ships straight through. And it looks like they're going to do that for some other nations as well. So I think the biggest loser here really is America. Just it's mind-boggling what's happening. I mean, even 10 years, not even 10 years, 5 years ago, if someone told me in 2021 or 2020 that the existence of NATO would be called into question, that the aura of America's hegemony would be called into question, that would have mostly been unthinkable. Like if you went back in time and said, yeah, the future existence of NATO will be called into question, anyone would tell you that you're kind of losing your mind, right? If in 2020 you were told that, people would call you insane, but now it's looking very realistic that that NATO could fall apart. I mean, I don't think it will in the next few years, but beyond that, it's a possibility. I mean, no one knows what's going to happen out of this war, just because of just the nonsense decisions that the U.S. is making. Who can predict them? I know there's a saying, how can your enemy predict your next movement if you can't even predict your own movements? So that's kind of the point we're at, where nothing we're doing makes any sense whatsoever, and we're just kind of running with it. And I think our adversaries around the world are in the same boat, where they're just at a loss, just looking at us and saying, America, what the hell are you doing? But that's pretty much it. I'll cover this more in depth later, but I just wanted to run through that, just talk about it. So goodbye, everyone. Talk to you some other time.